After the 2 days, he left for Galilee. Now Jesus himself had pointed out that a prophet has no honor in his own country. When he arrived in Galilee, the Galileans welcomed him. They had seen all that he had done in Jerusalem at the Passover feast, for they also had been there. Once more he visited Cana in Galilee, where he had turned the water into wine. And there was a certain royal official whose son lay sick at Capernaum. When this man heard that Jesus had arrived in Galilee from Judea, he went to him and begged him to come and heal his son, who was close to death. "Unless you people see miraculous signs and wonders," Jesus told him, "you will never believe." The royal official said, "Sir, come down before my child dies." Jesus replied, "You may go. Your son will live." The man took Jesus at his word and departed. While he was still on the way, his servants met him with the news that his boy was living. When he inquired as to the time when his son got better, they said to him, "The fever left him yesterday at the 7th hour." Then the father realized that this was the exact time at which Jesus had said to him, "Your son will live." So he and all his household believed. This was the second miraculous sign that Jesus performed, having come from Judea to Galilee. So right off the bat, there's 4 practical lessons we can learn from this passage. Number 1 is that the rich are going to have the same problems as the poor. And not all the same problems, but that sickness and death don't care how much money you have. And a person's wealth can't keep them out of the problems that people are going to face in life like this. As Christians, we must be careful to not desire riches. We must pray for the rich and not envy them, because Jesus said it was hard for them to enter into the kingdom of heaven. True riches are those stored up in heaven. Number 2 is that sickness comes to the young and to the old. There is no guarantee of tomorrow, even for the young. And the first person to die in the Bible was not a father, but a son. Moses' brother Aaron lost 2 sons. King David had to bury 3 children. Job lost all his children in one day. We mustn't take life for granted. Each day is a gift, and we must be prepared to meet God, to live ready to depart at any moment, and to be joined with the Lord. Then we will be safe. Number 3 is that God can bring good out of tragedy. So the official's worry about his son's condition led him to Jesus. Jesus taught him about God's power and perfected his faith. He believed, and so did his whole family, and all this because his son was at the point of death. He may never have come to faith in Christ. C.S. Lewis said that pain was God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. And we learn great lessons through trials and pain. God can draw us away from our sin and the world through our afflictions. And all people want comfort and prosperity, but loss and the cross are much better for us if they lead us to Jesus. Psalm 119:71 says that it is good for me that I was afflicted, that I might learn your statutes. So we should beware of complaining in our time of trouble. There is a purpose and a message from God in every trial. Hebrews 12:11 talks about God's discipline and how at the time it is painful, but afterwards it produces peace. Just the fact of Jesus' resurrection should teach us that earthly loss is eternal gain. And number 4, Christ's words are as good as Christ's presence. Now Christ spoke and the boy was cured. Christ commanded and the deadly disease stopped and left the boy. What word has Christ spoke that we desperately need to believe? He said, "The person who comes to me, I will in no way cast out." Do we know in our hearts that we have come to him? If we can say yes, then we never have to doubt whether we are saved or not. Here we are told that believing is as good as seeing. So affliction will come our way. We cannot escape that. The question is, do we know where to go for help? Fill up your mind and your heart with Jesus' words and promises. They are not man's words alone, but the very words of God. And Jesus says that his words are spirit and life. So now let's go a little deeper into this story. Jesus has been hanging out with the Samaritans now for the last 2 days, who, by the way, believed in Jesus without seeing any signs or miracles. But let's move on. The disciples and Jesus decide to bail. "Hey, where are we going?" I don't know. Where are we going, Jesus? Nazareth? Your hometown? No, Galilee. Why? A prophet has no honor in his own country. So they return to the place of the wine miracle, and the people there are welcoming, because they saw what Jesus did at the feast in Jerusalem. He made a whip out of cords, drove out all the animals and the people selling the animals, dumped the coins of the money changers, and flipped over all their tables. So it's not a surprise that the Galileans welcome him. So 20 miles away from Cana, in a town called Capernaum, an official has a son who is sick, and he is about to die. He's been hearing about this Jesus guy for a while, because he most likely worked in King Herod's court. He heard that Jesus left Judea and was going up to Galilee, so he travels to see him. It will only take a couple of days. He will bring Jesus back, and he will heal his son, or so he hopes. When the man finds Jesus, he humbles himself and begs Jesus, "Come down and heal my son, please, for he is about to die." Jesus says, "Unless you see signs and wonders, you will not believe." Remember the faith of the centurion for a minute? He was a high-up official, and his servant was at the point of death. And he asked Jesus for healing, and Jesus said, "Hey, let's go to your house." But the centurion said, "No, I'm not worthy for you to go into my house. But say the word, and he'll be healed." Jesus commends his faith, and that nowhere in Israel had he seen faith like his. This story is like the opposite. The man begs him to come into his house and heal his son, and Jesus says, "Unless you see signs and wonders, you will not believe," and he refuses to go. The difference here is this guy's faith. Let's see how this plays out. The official is desperate. Jesus is his only hope now. The official says, "Sir, come down before my child dies." You can see his need. He doesn't let Jesus' rebuke stop him. Still begging Jesus, he says, "Go, your son will live." The man has a choice now. Does he keep on begging Jesus to come to his house, or does he trust Jesus' words and wait? He believes the word Jesus spoke, and he went home. He would have to spend the night along the way and wake up the next morning to continue his travel, with only Jesus' assurance to comfort him. He meets his servants on the way. He's improving. Your son will live and not die after all. But the father is curious. He asks the time he began to get well, and they tell him, "Yesterday at the 7th hour." And he knew that that was exactly the time that Jesus had said he would live. His faith was perfected. Nothing could change his mind about Jesus now. He didn't even have to see the healing to believe now. He learned that Jesus' word is as good as his presence. Now let's look at just the sheer power and authority of Jesus' words. He spoke, and the sickness left. The sickness obeyed Jesus. Creation obeys Jesus. The wind and the waves obey Jesus. It is only free-willed people who disobey him. Jesus has the power over illness and death, and if we obey him, he will have power in our lives. So when we look at the words of Jesus, we don't ever have to think, "Oh, this might be true." We have to start thinking, this must be true. So the end of our story is that the father believed in his whole household. I want to lastly draw attention to the fact that one father's faith has a huge impact on the faith of his family. I'm sure he shared his interaction with Jesus. He told him the whole story. And with his whole family, they believed. I think this included his kids and his workers. So share your story. Share Jesus' story. And share your faith in God.